Next up is Mark Halpert. Mark is a self-described multipreneur. Do I have that right? Multipreneur. I'm still not doing it right. Since leaving,
okay, he made the word up.
Since leaving the corporate finance world in 2001, Mark has started 3 companies, all of which he still operates. Little ADD? In 2010, he started his 3rd company, Connect to Collaborate, to spread his LinkedIn and networking evangelism to train and coach others. In all his LinkedIn training and coaching, he offers professionals the opportunity to better explain their brand and positioning on their LinkedIn profile pages, who they are and why them versus the competition. Mark?
I'll tell you when you're almost done.
Okay, let's go back. So thank you for having me. I just want to preface by saying that I don't get paid or am not employed by LinkedIn, and I'm not an attorney. So that makes me a bit of an odd duck in this room. I am a multipreneur. I keep bouncing into cool ideas and new opportunities, and I find ways to monetize them. I guess that's okay. I mean, if that's ADD, that works for me. I'm really pleased to be here. I do talk to attorneys all the time in my practice as a LinkedIn coach and a LinkedIn trainer. I teach people individually as well as teach the entire firm or practice groups within a firm. I've had 4.5, almost 5 years experience doing it, and I've yet to find any 2 people or 2 groups that are the same. So the diversity of what I get to do makes it fascinating to me. It's a little bit of being a psychologist. It's a little bit of being a friend. There's a lot of people who are out there who are amazing. My job is to make them look amazinger. And the vehicle I've used, the vehicle I found 10 years ago, is LinkedIn. And I'm the guy who used to have Rolodexes on his desk. I had the good guy Rolodex. These are the people I used all the time. I had the middle guy Rolodex, people I drew on from time to time. And I had the other Rolodex of people I had lost touch with, but if I didn't keep their card, I'd never remember their name. And people begin to move around, and we've all moved. Has anybody been at the same firm all their professional career in the room? Good for you. Wow. Well, you're a minority. I've been through, I don't know how many industries, how many companies, and on the corporate side, on the business side, non-lawyer side, it's very common. In fact, there's a book I'll recommend to you called The Startup of You. It is written by Reid Hoffman, Hoffman. He happens to be the chair of LinkedIn. That's not why I'm recommending the book. But the idea about the startup of you is you're always in beta, and very few of us, with the exception of this gentleman here, go from point A to point Z in our career and stay at the same place, or the same industry, or the same company, or the same concept. Now, when I started my business career back in 1979, I worked for a bank, which many of you may or may not remember, called Manufacturers Hanover. I always get that, everybody remembers Manny Hanny. Long gone. And I was a banker. I hated it. So I went into corporate treasury. Hated that too. And then I decided what to do with my life, and I found that training and helping other people was really what my calling was, and I absolutely love it. No surprise, I've called myself an evangelist. There's a little bit of fervor in what I do. There's a lot of heart in what I do. And my clients always get, 110% of me. So it's one thing that I really have a lot of passion in. What I want to talk today about is that your life really is an adventure, the startup of you. You're always in beta. You're never a finished product. You're always moving around. Everybody's always moving around. In fact, on LinkedIn, 277 million people are always moving around. And if I gave this presentation 3 months ago, that number was 18 million people smaller. So it grows by almost 20 million people a quarter. It is a phenomenon. It's a $25 billion corporation by corporate capitalization. It is an amazing thing, and it keeps changing. That's what keeps me in business. Every time they make a change on LinkedIn, the people who don't know how to use it get more confused. And my job is to make them less confused. So your life is an adventure. I can't tell you what to say. Only you can say it. And as I look around the room, I see people who were born in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and maybe some in the 30s and maybe some in the 70s. But we were all taught not to talk about ourselves, not to be ego-centered. Well, social media has allowed us all to talk about ourselves, some more than others. Some way more than others, most of which should be throttled for what they do. But nonetheless, we're all now entitled to talk about the things that we believe in, the experiences we're having, sharing the information that we think is interesting, and putting it out there in a couple of clicks of a mouse. Now, I do that on a routine basis, and I would recommend you do that as well. Not soliciting, but imparting knowledge. So as you read some information, and you want to share it with the people or the subset of people you're connected to on LinkedIn, you should share it. Because the more times you blip on someone's mental radar, there's Halpert again. He has another article that he wants to share. He's talking in front of the New York State Bar Association, which means he likes to talk to groups. The more you blip on someone's mental radar, the more top of mind you are. And if you're looking to find more business, and that's what we're here for, and to market yourself in your own words in the way you want to be marketed, you have to blip in your own words. And if you're not going to blip, no one's going to blip for you. Or they might blip and say something you really wish they hadn't said.
It's a bleep.
That's a bleep, yes. That's a blop. That's a real problem. In fact, I had a friend, somebody said something on Google about her, which took her forever to get it taken off of Google. So folks, LinkedIn is the social medium used by 277 million business professionals around the world, where only you can say on your LinkedIn profile what you want to say. And you can manufacture, you can market, you can say what you want. You can give the impression you want to give, and that's what people will read. And people keep LinkedIn open on their desk from the moment they walk into the office until the moment they leave the office, right behind their email. And they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So if you blip on their LinkedIn radar, you're going to be the trusted expert in your area of expertise. And that's a really important thing. So I'm not telling you to go outside of your comfort zone and be an expert in something you're not an expert in, but only to find the right information to give the people who rely upon you to educate them. This is giving without expecting to receive anything, because it is about helping your connections. You saw the movie, Pay It Forward, see it again. From the point of view of social media and your business, and you will find it a whole new way to speak, where someone helps somebody else out without expecting anything, and it comes back in dividends and bounds. So LinkedIn, you need to tell why you. And if you can't tell why you, find somebody who can help you tell why you. If you can't tell why you better take a step back and explain who you really are. What makes you different from your competitor? What makes you unique in your firm? What makes you unique in your area of expertise? And develop a personal profile page. And my colleague Wendy Prince, who's a matrimonial attorney in Connecticut and Stanford, we worked on her profile. She's in a tough area of the law because everybody has a negative view on matrimonial attorneys. Any other matrimonial attorneys in the room? You know what it's like out there. People don't necessarily want to talk to you or be seen talking to you because people talk about that. So she does a really good job of talking about what makes her unique in her field. And every section of her profile is written to complement and to expand upon the section above it. Because, folks, it's just like going to the newsstand. If you see an article or headline of an article on a newspaper, you're going to pick up that newspaper and you're going to want to take it home with you. Only if you like the headline, only if the first paragraph of the article makes sense to you and gives you more interest to want to read it, then you read down to the end. So you want to use every section of LinkedIn that pertains to what you do to talk about and expand upon the section before it. You want to talk about the skills you possess that you bring to the table. What's your value proposition? What makes you worth the phone call? Because everybody here has a competitor or two or a dozen or 50 or 100. Even a LinkedIn trainer has plenty of competition. So I have my special sauce, you have your special sauce. Talk about what it is without giving away the goodies, but talk about it in a way that you say, I do this, I gain satisfaction from. My expertise leads me to this, that, or the other. Make it readable by human beings. This is not your resume on electronics. Your resume is your obituary. It is backward looking. LinkedIn is forward and future looking based upon the experience you have from where you came from. So my skills and my expertise come from the things I've done throughout my life, which I pull out of my back pocket as I need it in my everyday work. And that's something that you want to talk very carefully and intelligently about on your LinkedIn personal profile. And everybody who has a firm, whether you are the only attorney in the firm or you're a part of a very large firm, needs to have a company profile page. It's like a mini website for your company. It's on LinkedIn. And here is a place where you do not repeat, please do not repeat what you say on your company website. Say it in a different way. Because the subset of people you're speaking to on LinkedIn is the business community. The web is open to the entire world. Whoever happens to just show up there, that's a mighty big number. So talk on the LinkedIn company profile to the 277 million business professionals and talk about the services or the products you provide in a very intelligent, concise way. Make them want to pick up the phone and make them want to know more about you. Connect your personal profile to the company profile page. And for those of you in larger firms, everybody who has an outward voice or an outward face from the firm to the outside world should be on the company profile page. And that might include your accounts receivable, your accounts payable people. That might include your controller. Be sure everybody is toting the same line and that they're saying the same thing on their personal profile page that relates to what the company is trying to brand itself to do. One loose link in the chain is a disaster for everybody. And I have seen that over and over again from the smallest firm to the largest firm. Even very large corporations have a very hard time reining in what people say. It's very important that you have common grounds and common characteristics that the firm stands for, and each individual in the personal profile has their own personal way of saying and reflecting those exact same things. And then use video or multimedia of any sort. If it's a slide presentation you gave at a seminar, put that out there. Let people see that you are the expert in your area of expertise. And if they like what you're presenting, they're more apt to call you. And obviously you want to be sure that the material you have that you're putting out there is something you are authorized to put out there into the public. Because from there it could go anywhere, and it does. I've seen my own material with someone else's name on it, which was not nice. So you want to be sure that you put the right copyright lawyers, see them, talk to them, that they know what to do. But nonetheless, use multimedia, use video. Video is wonderful. I just had a breakfast with a videographer this morning. Video is the way that people remember you best because the ears and the eyes and the brain, all three of them are going at the same time. If you just read the material, just the eyes and the brain are going. So that's only 2/3 of the good stuff. So please think about video. Groups on LinkedIn. This is what Nancy was talking about a moment ago. No one here knows everything about their field. Join groups on LinkedIn. You know there are 2.2 million groups on LinkedIn? Now, I make kosher dill pickles. There are 7 pickle maker groups on LinkedIn. I usually get a laugh here. Anyway, thank you. It depends upon what you want to do. It depends upon what area you want to join in. Join your alumni association. Join your legal alumni association. Join your local legal alumni association group on LinkedIn. As you see, right have here, we have a Family and Divorce Mediation Council of Greater New York. So the family and divorce mediation lawyers are talking amongst themselves in the group on LinkedIn. This is a silo of people who have the same interests that you have, yet don't know everything and are intelligent enough to admit they don't know everything and want to meet other people where they can rely upon each other to toe the line together. So this is a really good place for you to ask questions or answer others' questions or share an article or an opinion, or an observation that you've had in a small group of people who share the same common interest. This is very powerful stuff. And just don't join the group. Get in and run with the ball. Participate. Because the wallflowers walk away saying, there was nothing in here for me. This is what Nancy was saying a minute ago. When you're in there and you're running around and you're meeting great people and you have a conversation back and forth in the group, you say, let's take this offline. Let's get lunch tomorrow or the next week about it. You can have a really, really powerful conversation. So in all of LinkedIn, people come to me and say, I don't know what to do. I hate it. It's awful. I don't have time. You're welcome. So the answer to you, my friend, is, you remember the first time you sat down and you learned Word? You probably said the exact same thing a long time ago. Now you sit down and you plunk out a Word document without even thinking about it. You invested the time. You lost a few documents along the way. You learned from your mistakes. You found out the shortcuts. You talked to other experts. You took a course. That's what LinkedIn can be for you. Use search engine optimization keywords all throughout your LinkedIn profile. The 3 sections that are the most powerful for SEO keywords. If you don't know what SEO keywords are, talk to the webmaster at your firm, and they'll tell you what the SEO keywords are for your firm. The 3 sections to use SEO keywords on LinkedIn are your headline, your summary, and your experience. And LinkedIn, at the end of the day, is a gigantic search engine with 277 million records on it. And if somebody wants to find an intellectual property attorney in White Plains who has an expertise in medical and medical equipment that is only used in hospitals in India, I've got the guy. And you can find him using LinkedIn. It's a search engine. The smarter your search, the better you're going to find your results. So that's a really great way to do it. Get in there and renovate your LinkedIn profile, your personal profile, and your company profile, if it's appropriate for you to do it. Certainly your personal profile. If your personal profile reads like an obituary, you better change it because you're still alive. Tell people why you. Get out from away from under yourself and learn to express who you are. This is when people fall in love visually with the people they're going to call. You might be on the short list of 5 attorneys vying for the same case or the same expertise area. At least give yourself a running shot by telling who you are. And tell now what is 277 million people what you're doing. Because you know what? I'm one person. I happen to have 2,400 connections. If you don't laugh.
Only 2,400.
It just made 2,400. I know every one of them. I've met them. I've vetted them. I've gotten to know them. I love and I take care of them, and they take care of me. So I'm one person to the 2,400th power. I can do a lot more, and I love being the go-to person. How many connections do you have?
780.
Okay. So if you came to me and you said, I need a this, I will probably have 3 times as many of thises as she has. Maybe, only because I've invested the time and gotten to know these people. And I take care of them, and I know you do too. We always go back and forth on this. But nonetheless, it's really important to talk to the people and tell them what you're doing, where you're thinking, what you're involved with, articles you've read. Share material, share information, impart the knowledge base that you have that you've worked so hard. Investing in your brand of why you is what this is all about. The very best vehicle I know to do this is LinkedIn, because I'm talking to the environment that I want to talk to, in the language they want to be spoken to, as frequently as I have time, and they can always go back into the history of what I've put out there on LinkedIn and read about me, or search me out. And that's a really important thing. So I want to leave you with, run with the ball. Be sure that you're moving forward all the time. You're a social media shark. If you stop, you die, and you can't go backwards. So you got to go forwards. I'm going to pick on you. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. I do this. One of the most enjoyable things I do is working one-on-one with clients or with an entire firm and hearing the stories, hearing the great stories.
I'm finished. Go ahead. Question.
Okay. And hearing the great stories. The great stories are the ones that tell me that what I'm doing really makes sense. Well, the story I'll tell you is that somebody stopped me at a Christmas party a little while ago and said to me, a few months ago, and said, "Where were you last June?" Well, I happened to have gotten hit by a rock and broke my leg. The rock came out from under the lawnmower and shattered my leg. So I was off LinkedIn. Believe it or not, I took 2 days off of LinkedIn. And I was in the hospital, and I just couldn't do anything. But he said to me, I so rely upon what you put out there to send out to my connections that I wanted to know what the hell happened to you. It tells me what I'm doing is important. You can tell by the impact you're having on people by the way they respond to you or the way they refer you out. And when I get a referral, I always want to know where the referral came from. And when the referral comes from LinkedIn, like this meeting I had this morning, he said 4 people told him about me through LinkedIn. Tells me what I'm doing. That's how I grow my business. That's the way business is growing right now. That's what I would suggest to you. But I didn't just wake up yesterday and decide to start doing LinkedIn. I put a lot of time into it, but it really pays off for me. So you had a question.
Do you have any comments on brand yourself?
Brand myself? Sure.
Brandyourself.com. There's a, you
Oh.
can go in and set up your own, just like LinkedIn, set up a profile.
The question was,
I'm sure there's other competitors out
the question was, do I know brandyourself.com? There are many competitors.
Sure.
I'm a one-trick pony. I am a LinkedIn pony.
Okay.
I have decided to put my time and my effort into LinkedIn. If you were to look me up on Facebook, that's just friends and family. That's it. On Twitter, I don't know if I'm stepping on anybody's toes here, but on Twitter, everything I put on LinkedIn goes to Twitter. That's it. My blog goes to LinkedIn, goes to Twitter. So everything is circular. My entire brand that I am developing all the time is everything I'm metering out to the right audience. Nancy.
Do you have any thoughts on, we all get requests, what I'll call the friend requests, right, to let somebody into your network. Do you have any thoughts on how to approach those?
Oh, do I have thoughts on
I
that?
have a feeling.
Oh, thank you for asking a leading question.
So who has received a request to connect to somebody on LinkedIn and you say, who the hell is that?
Yep.
All right? It's abusive. It's annoying. It's horrible. Okay? I get it all the time. In fact, one morning, it's like 3 or 4 months ago, I had 40 requests from the social media class at the University of the Philippines. The entire class asked to connect to me on LinkedIn. So here's what I do. So you get this in your email, you get it on LinkedIn, because everything that you get on LinkedIn copies to your email. So I keep it within the confines of my email. The first thing I'll do is I'll send them back an email and saying, have we met? And if I don't hear from them in 24 hours, they're gone. I just ignore them. If they do respond to me and say, no, we haven't met, then I try to say, well, how can I help you? If they still can't figure that out, I ignore them. Because right now, at 2,400 people, I got enough. And you should only connect to people you know, because the people you don't know can do real damage within your LinkedIn connection group. And as I said, I nurture my connection group. And I actually had a friend growing up from high school who I connected to on LinkedIn. She started doing a lot of Facebooky things, like pictures of her puppy and comments like that about the weather and all that. And I just cut her out. I said to her, you can't do this. This is not Facebook. So I took her out of my LinkedIn group.
Can
So
you do that? You can take a person out of your LinkedIn?
you can disconnect from somebody. And as of last week, you can even block somebody. So thank you for saying this. You can block somebody. I don't want to take from anybody's time. Can we do?
You have until half past.
You're fine.
Oh, okay. So when you disconnect from somebody, you no longer can see each other's profile, the full profile. When you block somebody, they can't touch you, they can't see anything from you, they can't do anything with you. There's a lot of stalking going on right now. There's a lot of illegal stuff going on where... Could you elaborate? Well, I'm not going to... I don't know anything personally about that, but there are people who... here's a great example. You may have connected to somebody along the way, and they've gone and joined a firm that's your direct competitor. When you connect with somebody, they can see everybody you're connected to. So if you have clients in your connection list, your now direct competitor can see your entire connection list. So that's a good time to disconnect from somebody. It's not as dramatic as blocking.
And they get a note that says you've disconnected.
How do you do it?
I'll show you right now. I just happen to be connected to LinkedIn here.
Surprise.
Yeah. So here's this guy, Shai Franklin. He's just the first guy to show up. You see this on the screen? Okay. So let's say I want to disconnect from Shai because he did something or he's just not the guy. I love Shai. He's a great guy. Been terrific. So if you wanted to disconnect from Shai, you go to Shai's page and notice he and I are first level connections. See right here? That means that we have connected. We've agreed to connect to each other. And if I decide I want to disconnect from Shai, I put my mouse button over and I go to remove connection.
Over what did you put it?
That little arrow.
That little teeny tiny arrow.
Endorse.
There are a lot of little teeny tiny arrows on LinkedIn. In fact, I spent 2 hours in November teaching people where all the teeny tiny arrows are and what you could do with them. So, now if you decide you really want to block Shy because he did something really horrible or he's stalking you or making evil comments about you, he gets an automatic reporting to LinkedIn. If enough reports come in blocking somebody, then they get taken off of LinkedIn. You never come back to LinkedIn if they take you out. So that's how you can disconnect from somebody. If you remove the connection, Shy will not get a notification that I've disconnected from him. The next time he looks at my profile, he'll see second and not first, meaning we've dropped down one level of connection. But that's the only way he's going to know. Yes?
What are your thoughts on LinkedIn Premium? Are you a member?
I don't get paid by LinkedIn. I don't pay for LinkedIn. There was a time 2 summers ago where I was doing a really large program, a really large research project. I wanted to know the CFOs at all Inc. 5000 companies. I paid for LinkedIn for a month. I did my research. I downloaded it to an Excel spreadsheet. I kept that information. I got out of LinkedIn. Now, you can join LinkedIn month to month, or you can join for the year. Choice is yours.
Can I take a shot at that one?
Sure.
Hand me the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
I'm the CMO of a medium-sized law firm, and I have premium for the firm. And one of the things that you can do with LinkedIn, a lot of the very large law firms have expensive software called CRM, Customer Relationship Management. And one of the key things they're trying to figure out is who knows who. Well, I discovered I can use LinkedIn to do that. So I have all of the attorneys connect to me. We are trying to program in, we have an email mailing list, and we've gotten them conditioned that when they meet a new person, they give it to their secretary, and their secretaries make certain that it gets on the list. We're also trying to program them to connect to them. Because that way, as we are looking for new targets and whatever, we want to understand the existing relationships. So, something to consider.
The most wonderful thing about LinkedIn is, just as you said, you can realize where you knew people along the way and who knows each other. And the world is a very small place. At the end of the breakfast I had this morning, the guy said to me, "Oh, well, I'm a little late seeing Jeff Simon." I said, "You know Jeff Simon?" "I know Jeff Simon." And I had no idea how he knew Jeff Simon, but I know Jeff Simon through another networking group, 3 other networking groups. The world is very small. Even in New York City, this is a very small town at the end of the day. Now, I do a lot of work in nonprofit consulting, and that's a really small community. Everybody knows everybody. And if you're the go-to guy and you're the knowledge imparter in a small environment, people flock to you. They refer you on a regular basis. So you want to carefully monitor your brand and carefully meter out what you say and how you say it. But when you're giving good information, people, they love it. Any other questions before? Yes?
You said that if you're connected to somebody and someone else is connected to that person, they know everyone else is connected to you?
Yeah, it shows you the whole chain of who's connected.
Access that.
Go back to Shy.
Can block it, though.
Let's go back to Shy.
Block it, though.
You can block it. You can, but if the idea behind social media is not to block. It's social. It's to connect. It's positive, but there are times you want to block. So if you wanted to see, sorry, everybody can. Shy is connected to. I've never done this, so this is unrehearsed, folks. He's got a very long LinkedIn profile. He does a lot of writing. I'm trying to get there. I don't even know where it is, frankly. It's here somewhere. Man is...
Isn't it up on the top under contacts where you just click on it?
It's not on this one. These is okay. This will show you everybody that I share connections with Shy, all 15 people.
And he has over 500.
and he has over 500.
Will it show you?
And if I wanted to look for one person in particular, I would click on this little magnifying glass and type in the name, and I could see whether he was connected or not connected to that person.
But you
can see
can't,
that person's profile.
You can see part of that person's profile, not the whole thing.
but you can't see his whole list.
I can see his entire list if I wanted to. I could click on all, and I would get all 500. And it goes next, 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 on and 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 on. The people who are good connections for me are the people who really know their connections. Yes, in the back. Premium. I'm sorry, I should have defined that. That's the subscription service for LinkedIn. Comes in various strengths, so to speak. You get anywhere from it's like $16 to 100 and something a month, and you can get certain capacities. You can send what's called an in-mail, which is a LinkedIn email to somebody you don't know. So if you wanted to send a LinkedIn email to the CFO of PepsiCo, you could do that. Now you know why you get those emails, yeah. You can also do expanded search, much more expanded search, which is why I used LinkedIn Premium for that summer when I was doing my research project. But quite frankly, for most search, what you get for the free LinkedIn service is plenty.
But you also see contacts further. You can see the complete
Okay.
profiles.
You can see much more, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.